right, everybody. Hello and welcome to the Modern Day Podcast. This episode was brought to you by Skillshare. You can use my link skl.sh/moderndayjames. You get 2 free months of Skillshare. Learn to do something. Get off the couch. Just do something with your life. Come on. Let's get your shit together. Also brought to you by Audible and Jeff Bezos. You can head to audibletrial.com/moderndayjames to get a free 30-day trial. Check out some books. Educate yourself. Come on, let's do it. Also brought to you by me and Eytan. Head to gumroad.com/moderndayjames to get my premium tutorials, and head to gumroad.com/EytanZana to get his premium tutorials. It is a great time. And also, this episode was brought to you by the lifeblood of the channel, Patreon. Head to patreon.com/moderndayjames to get a discount on those tutorials that I just mentioned. And you'll hopefully learn a thing or two, or if I did a really bad job of teaching, you won't learn a damn thing. And on that note, I want to welcome my favorite guest of all time, Mr. Eytan Zana. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up? I'm your favorite of all time.
You are my favorite of all. Well, you're the only one that hung out with me in real life after. So that makes you my favorite.
I think we met and it was kind of like, yeah, we're going to be friends.
Yeah, it was love at first sight, I think.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for saying I'm your favorite. That's really nice.
No problem. I'd say that to every guest, but that's not a problem.
I knew it.
No, that's not true. We tried this like a week and a half ago, or maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I don't remember when, but it just didn't work out. I had 5 people here in total. People were coming in and outside of the door, and then your computer or my computer was just not working. And it was a total wreck.
Somebody got rushed, and
yeah,
it was like 20-second delay. Couldn't hear each other.
It was horrible.
Was just black the whole time. That was crazy.
It was the shortest podcast episode of all time. So yeah, why don't you catch us up on what's been going on? Maybe talk about what's been going on in life.
Life's great, man. It's been raining on and off in LA, so the weather is super cool. We don't get rain like that, so just went on like a couple rainy hikes, like in the pouring rain.
Yeah,
it was super awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. So where do you go when you go rainy hiking? Do you
usually like Santa Monica Mountains. There's like
awesome.
That's the cool thing about LA is like 15 or 20 minutes from where you are, there's probably epic nature.
Yeah.
So yeah, from my house it was like maybe 15 minutes to this like vista overlooking everything, but it was so rainy that you couldn't see very far. It was like white fog everywhere at the top of this mountain, and like there's so many different like color and lighting scenarios I'd never seen before, because I don't even know what rain is actually. Like being from LA, I'm like, water from sky?
You're like, I have never seen that before.
Yeah. It's the colors. There's something crazy that happens when it rains. Like the greens get all super intense. And the earth gets super rich and dark colored, and it's so beautiful. And nobody goes out, which is cool. You get these like really popular hiking spots, and I think I saw 4 other people there.
I think Californians are afraid of rain or just water in general.
Oh yeah. Like it was drizzling on the way back, and we're like, where is everyone? Like, did no one want to go hiking in the pouring rain? I don't understand.
Apparently not. I'm more afraid of the fact that California was just on fire right before I left, and I woke up one morning to find the entire city was just enshrouded in smoke. I thought it was fog, but it was not fog.
I know, and next we'll probably have an earthquake. We're getting all the elements.
Yeah, you guys have the strangest weather patterns. It's like you go on the weather forecast. It's like, all right, we have some wind, we have some fire. Oh, it's fire season now.
I know, right? And all this rain came way too late. I'm like, where were you when we were on fire? I can see smoke from my house. Please rain. No rain.
Yeah, it was scary too. It was definitely scary.
It's really scary. Like I know a few people that had to evacuate and their houses did not survive. It kind of sucks.
Was that the worst that you've seen it?
Yeah, definitely. In Santa Barbara, so that's like up the coast from us. It there were mudslides like crazy, and a lot of people like their houses just got washed away
Yeah.
because the fire created a layer of ash, and then the rain turned it into mudslides. So it's like
Oh my God.
the loose soil was particularly bad because everything burnt down first.
Yeah, you guys got
So
it just got
yeah, it
hammered.
was fucked. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Well, you survived it, luckily, and now everything seems to be coming back to life a little bit with some rain.
Yeah. I wasn't in any danger, so I don't want to make it seem I'm like, yeah, dude, we barely made it.
You're a
Like,
survivor.
I was fine.
Yeah.
I was fine. But yeah, it was scary how close. You check like
Yeah.
the fire map every day and see where it is, and you're like, fuck,
Yeah.
please
Listen,
don't cross that line.
listen, you don't need to tell the audience that you weren't in danger. We know we were just talking earlier. We were talking about what Eytan does for fun, which is he's a fighter pilot actually.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, we were we were
Why were we talking about fighter pilots? I don't even remember.
I don't know. I think you brought it up. I'm going to blame you for that one.
It's gone already.
It's
Why
go-
were you talking?
Well, anyway, we were talking about the best occupations cuz like let's face it, being an artist is a terrible job.
I mean, compared to being a fighter pilot,
Yeah.
not as exciting. I would imagine.
I have yet to go into the stratosphere. That's never happened.
I feel like we're gonna be able to do that soon.
Yeah, maybe. But
Maybe some company.
I have
let
an
us do
issue though. I have an issue with being a fighter pilot now that I'm thinking about it. I'm deathly afraid of airplanes and turbulence, so I don't think.
Oh, yeah, you might not like it for
Yeah.
a couple reasons.
Yeah. Do you
I hate to break it to you.
do you know Cynics? He's another art YouTuber. I had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him back when we looked at forums to look at art.
Oh yeah. Back in
Yeah,
the day.
I remember seeing his stuff. Being like, damn, that guy's good.
Oh, yeah,
I
he's-
don't know how to say his name, but it's really good.
Yeah, he's awesome. But he was talking about how he wasn't. I was just about to say he was a fighter pilot. He was not a fighter pilot, but he went to piloting school.
Oh,
And-
really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And you have to do that thing where you fly all the way straight up and then you just stop the engine.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like I know it's not Top Gun, but just the idea
No.
of like I went to fighter pilot school.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it was probably a little bit like Top Gun, right?
Well, he definitely said pilot school, but I like that you're adding the fighter pilot to it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went
It's
to-
fighter pilot
Yeah.
school.
If you show up with an aggressive enough attitude and maybe some weapons, you're loaded and you're packed and you go to pilot school, then it's fighter pilot
Yeah.
school.
They're like, I like your attitude.
You got a nice charm, kid. I think you're gonna go far in this business.
Yeah, it was like fighter pilot was the dream job when I was a kid.
Mhm.
Like everybody wanted to be a fighter pilot. That was so cool.
Yeah. And I mean, imagine how fucking crazy it is too. Those guys, like World War II, World War One, those things didn't even work, and they're just
Yeah,
like, let's just throw some guns on it.
Yeah, man. So what's going on with you?
Oh man, a lot of things are going on with me. Let's see. I've been doing the YouTube stuff. Too much YouTubes. I just made 2 other accounts. One for this podcast, which we were talking about, because some of the guests are not going to be great artists like yourself. Some of them are going to be metal musicians or my dumb friends.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I kind of separated it just because some people are going to be, they like I was telling you, the way I've heard it described is that if you have, like, let's say I have my YouTube channel, they go there for a single product. It's like if you go to Chipotle, you're expecting to get Mexican food, but then all of a sudden one day I'm like, they show up and Chipotle is serving crepes. They're going to be a little bit pissed. So I separated that, and I also made a music YouTube channel, and I'm trying to see just build all those things up, see what's going on with that.
Yeah, man. I really like your podcast.
Thank
I
you.
listen to it a lot.
Thanks.
I think you're awesome at it.
Oh,
You got
thank
a
you.
flair for it.
Thank you. I really love doing it. It's so much fun, and like I'm picking up. I think the worst part is you get to watch all the dumb inflections and facial expressions that you make. I kind of
Yeah.
hate that, but I do
Yeah.
like the sort of picking up on the flow of conversation and how you can lead it in certain directions. And
Yeah.
there's definitely an art to it. I'm not great at it, but I like it.
Plus, you have a very smoky radio voice.
Yes, I do have that
Let's just
smoky.
be honest.
I have that deep, sultry bass that I use to allure
Yeah,
the viewers. Yeah,
I could listen. I could listen to you narrating stuff.
Awesome.
For a while.
awesome. I mean, that's what I've. Maybe the next goal for me is just to do audiobooks.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You're
And then
sitting on a gold mine.
I think so. This voice, I haven't realized the power behind this bass, but it might also just be the audio equipment I have over here. Like you can see the lights going. There's there's a lot of compressors and things that are going into making this rich bass that you're hearing right now.
So it's all an illusion.
It
Got it.
Yeah, it might all be an illusion because when we were talking about the microphone setup before I had good microphones, every comment was just, "I hate your voice. You have the worst voice."
Maybe that's my problem.
Yeah, I think that
Maybe
yeah,
I need your mic, man.
yeah, you just got to get the microphone. Just like
My life's gonna change when I get that mic, though.
it really is. Then you're gonna realize, oh man, I have a sultry radio voice too. Yeah, it's like with art, how you find that one particular brush setting, and then
Yeah.
you're a great artist.
I was talking about that with some buddies actually, how there was a lot of talk of brushes don't matter,
Yeah,
and I think it's kind of BS because it's a way of telling beginner students like you're not ready to know what brushes I
oh,
use
so we're
because
negging them, you
yeah,
think?
kind of like it was a weird attitude that I never liked because I was like, of course brushes matter because when you have the right set, you can see the difference
Yeah,
between the way you make marks with like super crisp brush versus like Photoshop default brushes. It's not the same.
yeah, that's true.
It's a different tool. So don't say tools don't matter.
Yeah,
I think it comes from people. There's like a made up thing of the brushes will make me good, but I don't think any human has ever thought that. I
yeah,
think they're
maybe
just
not.
genuinely asking, hey, I suck, but I know to do this, there are some tools. Can you just tell me what those tools are? And then people just got sick of, being
Answering that
asked
question.
that,
Yeah.
that they're like, that's not, they don't matter because that's not what's going to make you good. Yeah, no shit. They just want to try your brushes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay. Just share the knowledge. It's fine. It's just a brush.
That's true. You might be the first person to come on here and actually say something along those lines. Because even myself, I'm so guilty of it. But I will say I only use a hard round brush. So I
But you are doing specific, really tight line work.
that's true.
I'm talking about with painting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You you for sure can't do it with just one brush. Like it's gonna look really weird if you're painting the whole scene with the same brush.
Okay.
Like there's an artistry to it, I think.
Yeah, I actually want to ask about that because I'm so lost with so much Photoshop stuff. Like, do you do you upgrade your or change your brush settings or brush palette a lot, or is it something that you have consistent that you go to?
I've had probably the same brushes since college.
Okay.
Like I just found this one set and I've just cobbled together. I'll add one or two brushes from new people's sets, but it's mostly the same stuff.
Okay.
It's on my Gumroad too. Like it's a bunch of other people's brushes. So I don't make any brushes. I just I just try everything and then I'm
There
like
you go.
that one was very good. I
Yeah.
like that one.
You know what's really
So
funny? I went through my Gumroad library the other day of the ones that I've purchased, and I realized I have purchased every single one of yours before I even knew you.
that's awesome, man.
I was like, this is embarrassing, but also kind of cool. And I don't know who is hammering right now. Do you hear that on my end?
Yes.
That's so
That's
annoying.
that's awesome. They're like you wouldn't happen to be recording that, would you?
You wouldn't happen to be doing a podcast where the audio is important at all, would you? I'm gonna just start hammering shit. It's so
But
annoying.
yeah, I think like just you're asking more about the brush stuff. I think from landscape painting, it was made clear to me how
Okay.
important they were, and maybe that's why I have such strong feelings about it. Because I guess if you were going outside and you were oil painting, you wouldn't do it with one brush. Like you
No,
need
probably
some
not.
things that are big and soft, and you need things that are like sharp and crisp. So already like even if you're being super legit about it, you need something that gives you different brush edge quality,
Yeah.
you know?
I've watched
So
Bob Ross, so I've seen a couple of those.
exactly, right? And it's just that, exponential of that because you're like, oh, I need something that when I stamp it, it looks like the busyness of leaves or
Yeah.
trees or something like that. And I don't know. It just annoys me sometimes that people are so precious about it. I'm like, they just want to learn. Why are
Yeah.
we putting people down for wanting to learn?
Well, I always put people down about it because I get that question like 100 times every stream, and I'm so pissed. I'm like, "Fuck you!" Like it's just, it's the most simple of brush for on my end at least.
Yeah, I think you have just your one guy that you go
Yeah,
to
yeah,
for
and
sure.
I do sometimes if I'm doing a traditional thing, I'll change it up because right now I just started doing ballpoint pen and brush pen, but I usually just get the shittiest one of those things. I have this mentality of if you can make something look good with the worst tools possible, then
Oh, you like to suffer.
yeah, I do like to
Okay,
suffer because
got it.
I do the same. I do the same thing with guitar. Like
You sure you're not Jewish?
many people have thought I'm Jewish. I actually got verbally accosted once in real life. This guy just came up to me and started screaming at me, calling me Jewish and threatening to fight me over it.
Oh,
Yeah,
dang.
really.
Well, now on behalf of the Jewish people, you're Jewish.
Oh, thank you. Is that
You've suffered.
is that how that works? Well,
Well, if the guy thought you were Jewish enough
he was gonna
to
fight,
treat you wrong,
dude. He was huge too. He was a very
yeah,
he was.
that's really scary.
There's a lot of like roided out broy types on Long Island where I'm from,
Yeah.
and I happened to be out, and I don't think I said anything to the guy, but he just asked me if I was Jew. He just said, "Hey, are you Jewish?" And I just have curly hair, and so I guess that was it. It just went from
The
there.
curly hair gave it away.
Gave away my mine.
Gave away you not being
Yeah,
Jewish.
exactly. Yeah,
I don't know.
people are weird. Um, I was complaining though about the brush thing. Now, I have so many questions about landscapes because they seem so elusive to me. Because every time I try to do specifically landscape painting versus sketching, like
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just my own brain, but the fact that with something like landscapes, you kind of have to think about it almost two dimensionally, right? Where it's almost like stacking flat shapes. Or am I just completely off with how
No,
you go
you're
about this?
you're absolutely right. That's like a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
And just I want to say before this, the way you think landscapes are like way beyond you, everything you do, I'm like, I don't understand.
Oh,
What do you
thank you.
mean? Like when I watch your how to, I'm like, I no, I can't I can't do that.
Oh, thank you.
Like it's so easy. Yeah, just do
Just
this.
fucking do that, man. It's just yeah. I guess that's how it is. Like
And
it's.
struggling, like I'm the same way about James's stuff. I'm like, I can't do that.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of interesting. How like at a certain point you really just have to choose what you want to go towards.
Yeah, I think your passions kind of push you towards a
Yeah.
direction. Like I didn't know that I wanted to do landscape stuff. I don't know if you knew you wanted to do your thing.
No.
No, yeah, okay. It's just kind of like one thing leads to another, and
Yeah.
you maybe tried. For me, I just tried a different class at school, and I was like, this is really cool. I'm gonna have to reconsider doing characters. Like
Yeah.
this is really something to this.
But that's a good point,
But
though. Like, I think it's important that you put yourself in a multitude of situations, especially early on.
hmm
I think after
yeah, I
that,
think
you can kind of hone it down.
don't
But
be afraid to try stuff, I think.
yeah,
And you'll it whatever you end up on is there's no right or wrong one. I think there's plenty of work for a lot of disciplines. So
yeah,
I would say just find what you're passionate about and put your points into that.
yeah,
Like
definitely.
just once you are pretty certain you're going to do that, like double down and just
Yeah.
kind of soak it all up, whatever that industry requires.
Do you also you mentioned use the term points? Do you also think about it as an RPG? And it's like,
Oh, it's absolutely an RPG.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put X amount of stat points into perspective and anatomy, and
No,
I'm
for
like,
sure.
yeah, okay, okay,
Because if 10 is art god, you're like, I need to make it all the way to 10 in my one specific slice of the industry.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I think a lot of people and from school, at least my school was not good in this way, where they had this philosophy of put a point into everything and we're slowly going to rise the whole skill
No,
set at once. And
you
I'm
can't
like,
be.
maybe I don't need to be awesome at drawing horse anatomy, like
No,
for what I'm going to do. Like maybe I don't have to take that class anymore, but I thought I had to be good at creature design, character design, vehicles, environments, everything, storyboarding. But
yeah,
you kind of realize there's, at least in my experience, there has been these funnels and
yeah,
industries start looking for specific people that they're like, you're the robot guy. We
Yeah.
like you for your robots or whatever. And that's kind of cool because you're desirable now. They're going after your specific thing. And
Yeah.
you're not going after them saying, I can do everything. Don't you want me for something?
Yeah. Well, it kind of reminds me a lot of, doing music and stuff. Imagine trying to be a band that wrote in every single genre ever. It's like nobody wants to hear that. Maybe, I mean, maybe one out of every million bands, but like,
Yeah, right. And
but
I think people respond a lot more to people that are the artists within their field, and they're like,
yeah.
"Oh, I know the guy that we should use for this because he does this thing." Everyone likes having a couple things that they're good at,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think it's awesome because you'll get more freelance stuff that's tailored exactly to you.
Yeah. Naughty Dog doesn't test you on your horse anatomy knowledge, though.
I haven't been tested yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Good. Good. Good.
We
Uh,
we mocapped a horse actually.
Wait, you did what to a horse? I don't know
It,
what you just
it was
said.
mocapping is when they put the dots on
Oh, motion
on a
capture.
human actor. Yeah,
Oh,
motion
okay.
capture. But I think they did it to a horse. I think there was like a video on Twitter
That's awesome.
to get the animations like really perfect of it, like stepping down from things or like just hanging out in this little kind of mocap stage that they have on the Sony lot.
That seems like,
It's crazy.
yeah, that seems really fucking cool. Um, when you said mocap, I thought you said decapitation, or just my brain went to decapitate. I was like, I don't know what sort of rituals you guys are doing at Naughty Dog, but I don't like it.
Decapitating a horse. Yeah,
Fuck, it's
it's
like the
normal.
Godfather over there.
How else are you gonna sell this game?
Do you think that's what they did for Red Dead, though? I know we talked about Red Dead a lot last time, so I don't want to
Oh
go too
yeah.
in depth. But how did they make it so good?
I would bet they looked at tons of reference for that, and they probably mocapped it.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've always had like the best horse until our game comes out.
Oh shit! Wait, you and me, or Naughty Dog?
Naughty Dog, but we're also
Oh,
making
okay.
a horse game. You don't know about this, but
Horse Simulator.
I've decided we're making a horse
I was
game.
like, I don't think I'm qualified for whatever that is, but I mean, if you want to do it, let's go for it.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah, let's start, man.
yeah, sure. I think I had more to say. Sorry, we went off. We were talking
We're
about
tangenting like crazy. Sorry.
no. It's actually that's the way it's supposed to be. I love that because if it's
Okay, cool.
I find that if a conversation isn't like producing a bunch of different tangents, that it's not going well, and it might just be my ADD way of conversing with people. But
Yeah.
I usually like that. But I was going back to like kind of stacking your points into one thing. At first, I didn't think that there was any jobs for anything other than environments. Really, like I didn't,
Oh, okay.
because I was so just illiterate about about entertainment industry, and I was watching you and Shadi's videos, and I was like, well, I got to do that, and I kept trying to like go into Modo, do all like paint over it with photos, and it just
Uh,
I looked like a really shitty version of you, and I was like, this is not working out. Yeah. Oh, dude, I remember a distinct day. You had this one tutorial on Gumroad where you did a castle.
oh yeah.
Yeah, and I tried to do that same fucking castle over and over again, and I was so pissed. I was like, this is just not working out. And
That's awesome.
yeah,
At least you tried though.
I did. I
I
tried
think
real hard.
I think as another tangent, trying a certain piece multiple times as you like level up is really valuable. Have you ever
Yeah,
done that?
I have done
Like
that.
redone old art?
Yeah, I haven't gone back recently and done that. I had one instance in which I worked like 3 days on a piece on a painting, and
Mhm.
then it got corrupted on the third day. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's happened, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but I found that I did it better the second time
yep, yeah,
because I already knew, like I had already solved all the problems, so I just put it together in way less time, maybe a third of the time, and it looked a little bit better the second time.
yeah.
It's
Uh,
weird.
I feel like you're also kind of solidifying that idea or that process in your head a little bit more when you do that.
Yeah, I think so because you are keeping track. You may not notice it, but subconsciously you're like learning little micro details
Yeah,
about art each time you do it. And to do it again when it's crashed, you're like, "Oh, I remember. I'm gonna do this and that and that." Like you can be a little bit more bold about it too.
yeah. Have you ever had that happen with like with a deadline at work or something where you have to remake the whole thing?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Fuck.
I've had plenty of times where I've gotten really far on something and for some reason it didn't auto save or I hadn't saved in a while and I've just lost like lots of work,
Oh my
especially
god.
3D stuff, and it sucked. You definitely have to go for like a 10-minute coffee walk because you're
Yeah.
like I
You have that
can't be
huge
here right now.
frustration.
But yeah, the once you get over it and you're like, all right, it sucks. I'm really sad. Once you get back to it, I find that it is a lot better.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think that sort of happens. I now I had what was I going to say? Yeah. This might be a question you've gotten from people, but like, how long would you spend on an average painting? Because that's something that always confuses me. Like, I have this really short attention span with drawings. I think, like, I can only for each individual drawing or something. I feel like I can only invest at most 30 minutes or 40 minutes. I know it's not a
Really?
painting,
Okay.
so it's not a
Yeah.
painting. So, but like maybe if I was
I
painting,
I I'm like very different about things, and I don't want to make a statement for like the whole industry, but I like taking my time. I don't like especially for what we do. I don't like being able to do it really quickly.
yeah,
I don't think there's excuse me. I don't think there's too much special about me saying that I did it in like a couple hours versus
yeah.
them seeing a better painting.
Yeah.
So
Oh wait,
I
let me
I
clarify one thing. I don't mean to do it fast. I mean like I found myself when I was digitally painting that I was noodling around a lot and sort of not being like decisive about the direction of it.
oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
how do you avoid that, or do you find that like that's part of the design process to like go in and let that noodling happen?
I think I try not to noodle. So the way I paint is I'm making really big decisions all the
Okay.
time, and I'm constantly like, for anyone who's watched my tutorials, you'll see I zoom in and zoom out a
Yeah.
lot, and I make like a little mark, and I'm like, did that help or did that hurt?
Okay.
Like overall, because the noodling stuff doesn't really matter ever because you're looking at it maybe on your phone or on a smaller JPEG in an email and stuff like the superly detailed pieces, like I'll maybe do all that detail stuff towards the end,
Okay.
but overall a lot of it is cobbling together the overall image, so like the lighting and the mood. So I kind of work big to small when I work,
Okay.
and there isn't too much like going back and forth. I'll try to like get the overall mood established first, and as I'm like narrowing it down as the time goes on, I'm getting into like specific like
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
photo textures and stuff like that. But overall it's like pretty abstract.
Okay. Yeah, actually now that I'm
Yeah.
thinking back to your Gumroads, you do start with just like the black and white thumbnails usually, right? And sort of
Yeah,
work
so
that
it's
way.
just like an idea. It's just like the mood of it, and then I'm trying to like bring it to life from there.
Some of those thumbnails are fucking epic, though. There's one on
Thanks,
your
man.
there's one on your art station. It might even be the most recent piece where it's just like top down 3/4 shot of the temple and the waterfalls around it, and you showed a bunch
Yeah,
of thumbnails in there. Those are fucking crazy. I don't know how your
thanks, man.
brain. I don't know. It's super cool. I just like some of
Those,
the shapes and whatnot.
those are like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah,
Like I'd honestly rather do those than like the finished paintings because I don't have to commit to it.
yeah,
And it's just like, oh, like 45 minutes, an hour, and I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. And I just want to say, for those six that I posted, I probably did like 18, and I
okay,
was
okay.
like, only six of these are good.
Well, that's
But
a good part of the process, though. It's like,
yeah, I try to go until I kind of there's a super clear winner of the set.
yeah,
Because even of those six, when I showed that to other people, everyone was like, "Fuck, top left, you got to do the
yeah.
tower." So I knew
You
that
knew
that
that
was
was the
the
winner.
one.
Yeah,
I didn't want to send it to like any of my trusted people, and they'd be like, "Yeah, it's cool, man."
yeah, yeah. That's always
I guess that's cool. You're like, "I failed you." Okay,
no, that's an epic
I'm not
shot,
gonna do
man.
it until you say
Yeah,
"fuck."
yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's so cool. I find my issue with design versus illustration, I find that like as soon as I find a design that I kind of enjoy, I just kind of keep repeating the same thing over and over again by accident. Do you find that like how do you introduce that randomness or that sort of just sort of
Mm.
ensuring that you're getting a different feeling every thumbnail?
I think, and these are different because there's no assignment from a client.
Yeah.
There's nothing I have to stick to. My objective is make the coolest thing that you can make.
Yeah.
So there's really not a lot of boundaries, and a lot of times it can be hard to work with no boundaries. So I will kind of give myself some parameters, and I do a lot of reference gathering,
Yeah.
and I don't know which one's going to go in which piece, but an image will start to form in my head when looking at the reference, where either it's the shot that I like and I'll replace the elements, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
Like
that
the
makes a lot of sense.
arrangement of things is cool, but
Yeah,
I'm
like
like,
if the
yeah, what
person
if
was sitting there and knowing,
yeah,
yeah, okay.
like the shapes are cool, but what if instead of like skyscrapers, this was ancient temples, but in the same layout as this reference.
I,
So
I
even
think
if
that
it's
a
not
lot of times, like when I'm in the city, I'm just like, yeah, these are cool buildings, but what if they were all ancient temples?
yes. So I go a lot on like Pinterest, Flickr, Google, like I don't know if there's one that I don't know about, but I kind of just will go on whatever people say is good. I go on
Yeah,
that one, and I'll start putting stuff in a folder of like cool architecture or really cool lighting, stuff like that,
yeah.
or cinematography from movies, and eventually it'll be kind of organized in my head that it's like, oh, maybe this is like a little Moroccan temple because I noticed I gathered a lot of like Middle Eastern architecture. So maybe I do like one with that idea,
Okay,
and
okay.
one with one I got all these like cool swamp trees. So that can all be for like one idea here. And it doesn't take like I'm not spending a crazy amount of time. I may be gathering like 10 images or something just to like spark some ideas.
Okay.
And a lot of times I'm using 3D. So I'll use like 3D coat to sculpt like different assets. Have you ever used 3D coat?
I tried once. I took a class with Anthony Jones on it, and
Uh-huh.
I was again 3D. The only one that I was decent at is ZBrush,
Okay.
and
Well, it's like the same thing, I
okay,
think. It's like if you know ZBrush, you just use ZBrush.
okay, yeah,
But
or as the
I,
British say, ZBrush or ZBrush.
ZBrush.
Yeah, ZBrush.
Uh, how dare they call it Zed? We've
Yeah,
we've been able to call it Zed this whole time.
I
I
know.
didn't
We
know that.
yeah, apparently. Oh, I something that keeps happening on the podcast inadvertently is that we keep bringing up British pronunciations of words. I don't know why this keeps happening,
I
but
don't know.
yesterday was urinal for urinal.
Oh, urinal.
Yeah,
That makes me feel weird.
yeah.
That
Anyway,
doesn't sound nice.
not a relevant tangent.
We're gonna cut this tangent.
Yeah, that's
Sorry. Back to what I was saying.
back to
I
3D
will
code.
I will use 3D sometimes to block it out because I'll have a really strong idea of the shot already.
Yeah.
So I'm just making like really quick assets in 3D Coat, and I love that program. I use it all the time. But I can kind of make my own kit bash pieces and arrange
Okay.
them and make like a really simple 3D mock-up, and then I just paint over it.
Okay. Do you worry about the scale or anything like that, or you just set it so that the scale makes sense in your final picture?
I think it all just needs to make sense if I put a little scale dude in the picture,
Okay. Okay.
if that makes sense. Like I'm
The,
just building it based on whatever I decide a human is.
okay. Scale guy.
Yeah,
Wait,
scale guy. Because I always try to have, if I can, a scale guy in the picture
yeah.
because it's really hard for us to just look at a completely made up landscape and really understand it without seeing somebody because we're like, oh, human. Okay, I
Yep.
understand.
Yeah. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, because I don't know. I think I was also watching. This was in this. There was a brief period of 2 months where I was looking at your videos and Shadi's videos, and I think there's one scene where he kind of just built out the landscape so that it stacked two dimensionally the right way. But I could just be making that up, or I've seen somebody else do
Yeah,
that.
that that's how I do it. If I'm not using 3D, that's exactly how I did it in my
Okay.
Gumroad tutorials. That's how I think about it. Is
Yeah.
like flat cards, so you
Yep.
would just have foreground, middle ground, background, and then as you go, you're adding more in between layers because you want it to kind of feel like it's this really deep image.
Yeah.
So you can always push the depth by putting another layer overlapping or another layer behind. Does that
Yeah.
make any sense?
Yeah. Actually, I'm thinking of there's one image in one of Sparth's books, the Structura series of
Yeah.
books, where he has them flat, like laid out as flat cards in
Right.
front. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not we're not saying like do it exactly so it looks like they're cardboard cutouts,
Yeah.
with no depth to it. It's just like the idea of breaking down, like if you were to go outside and look at a mountain with trees on it, that you're understanding the layering in your
Yeah.
head. And maybe it's not so clear in your painting, but with that understanding, you can make a landscape a lot easier by saying this is in front of this, so it looks far away,
Yeah.
right?
Something that I always struggled with, and I don't know if this is relevant to anybody, but is doing those sorts of landscapes where you have a lot of architectural details and a lot of like, I was trying to do sci-fi a bunch,
Yeah.
and I felt like I couldn't make it look natural with all those hard edges and all the shit that was going on. I don't know if you have any experience with large cityscapes or anything like that. You mostly do looks like landscapes more so than
Yeah, I
cityscapes.
mean, we do a lot of hard surface stuff. Uh, like at work, we're doing a lot of that, buildings and
Yeah.
like interiors because it's Last of Us. So I just, in my personal time, I don't enjoy doing it as much as like fantasy stuff. But
Okay.
most of my time at work is like interiors and exteriors and stuff. Um, and a lot of my freelance stuff, I do sci-fi stuff. Oddly enough, even though I have no evidence of that in my
Yeah. Yeah.
portfolio,
I've never
but
seen it.
yeah, no, it's just I'm never drawn to do that for some reason. When I think of ideas, I'm just like always geared towards this like one fantasy world that I keep going back to.
Oh, do you have your own like little universe that you're making in your head, or
It's
is it
it's it's not like I've written anything down, but I just as I do, any of my personal paintings, I'm kind of imagining that it's the same world.
okay?
And that kind of helps me narrow it down a little bit more. Where I'm like, "Oh, do it in that same world you've been exploring where it's not super crazy over the top fantasy. It's kind of like grounded real world, like it feels like it could be real."
Yeah.
That's what I'm drawn to. Like if Game of Thrones was like a little bit crazier, but not too
Okay.
crazy.
Okay. Yeah, I had something
Um,
similar where I would when I was trying to design. Still, again, not I don't do too much design right now, but I wrote down documents and documents of all this information about this made up universe with a friend, and we would go out and drink and talk about like different aspects of this universe that we were trying to build,
yeah,
and it was a ton of fun. So occasionally I'll draw from that, but we have way too many documents of like merchants, characters, and all these descriptions, but I don't have the
I
skill
used to do
set.
that even before art. I loved kind of making up stuff in my head always. Like I think from when I was a kid I was encouraged to use my imagination a lot
Yeah.
and go play outside and like do artistic things, a lot of like building like blocks and Lego and art supplies were just available. We're in a big
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Like a big family, so there's just like paper and pens everywhere, like crayons, whatever. Uh and it was always just like go play outside or like go play with your brother and stuff. And before PlayStation arrived, it was mostly just making up stories in the backyard and
Yeah.
like just having fun with my brothers. And I think that led me to kind of always want to create stuff, create ideas, and kind of use my imagination all the time.
But you just had to ward off PlayStation because once video
Yeah,
games arrived, then they.
yeah. Well, then that took it to the next level where I
Oh
was
shit.
like, wait, it's one of my made up games, but somebody made it. It's like that stuff we were doing in the backyard. They put it in a box.
Those bastards.
Uh,
They
but
stole my
yeah, I think
ideas.
when I played, what was it? I saw like maybe Final Fantasy 7 or some.
Dude.
There was some like pinnacle moment on the PlayStation 1 where I was like, I have to make one of these. This is
Yep.
so cool.
There's
Like,
that area in Final Fantasy VII, Midgar. Uh,
yeah, it's so cool.
it is amazing. I always think of that. I feel like I was there when I think back to my childhood. That is such a cool game.
Right? And I think there's this escapism that I thought was really cool as a kid
Yeah.
to go to get to go on an adventure because you always see movies like The Goonies and stuff and you're like, "Well, I'm never going to actually find a treasure map."
Yeah.
So,
Nope.
I can go on a simulated adventure and it'll
Yeah.
be safe.
Yeah. And I don't
But
have to use
I
any
still get to
energy.
control it and I'm the
Yeah.
hero of The Goonies now, but it's like we're good. We're not gonna get murdered. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I agree with that. There is definitely a lot of like escapism and awesome stuff that comes from that.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel guilty for harboring people's addictions to video games by helping create helping create products that are destroying the minds of the youth?
I don't think anyone has said, dude, I'm addicted to playing The Last of Us. I can't get
I
enough
don't know.
of that sad, sad story.
well,
uh, hopefully people play it and they're like, man, I don't want to be in the apocalypse.
yeah.
I hope that's the takeaway.
Oh, would you be upset if I told you that I didn't play The Last of Us?
No, that's fine, man.
Okay.
I gotta go though.
Oh, come on!
Yeah.
I for a split second I thought you were being serious. I was like, oh no.
No, I don't care, man.
Okay.
It's not like my game.
As far as I'm concerned, I consider it your game.
Oh,
No,
thanks.
everyone else's contribution pales in comparison.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're really nice.
I mean,
You're being way too nice.
none of the other people came on the podcast except for maybe Nick. I think Nick works with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay,
did.
never mind. Okay.
So now I'm not your favorite anymore.
No, you're still my favorite, but Nick hasn't come on. Nick has not come on a second time,
Oh, that's true.
and he did not.
Yes. I'm back in the biz.
Yeah, he didn't take me out to
Top
dinner,
spot.
so
Yeah.
yeah. Where was he? Where was he that night?
Tangents.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Where what
This
what was
is
the
what we're
first?
doing.
God damn it! What were we talking about? We are talking about video games.
You said, "Do I feel bad for harboring people's video games addiction?"
Yeah,
And
but
then you said
before
you didn't
that,
play Last of Us.
we were talking about how inspiring it was to watch and play video games as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
Uh,
no, my brain just goes all over the place with these things.
No, I think it's a valid form of entertainment. I think it's really cool
Yeah.
that you know I think they're really fun to work on, to collaborate on, especially with a large studio. I think it's really interesting to see how 300, sometimes more people can make this thing and all really care about how good it is for
It
that 4 or 5 year cycle sometimes. And it's like where everyone's doing this little piece of it
yeah.
and it all somehow comes together and you're like, this is like magic. I'll look at other people's screens and see them just working on like one thing, like one animation or like an effect, or they're starting to light the level. I'm like,
It's
you
incredible.
guys are fucking wizards. This is
Yeah.
nuts. Because everyone who's there wants to make the best video game.
Yeah.
It's like really inspiring.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's and it's all these different disciplines that if I was if I was like working from home, I would never even know that these positions exist. But this
Yeah.
is a whole industry of people that are experts at rigging the 3D character so that the
Yeah.
facial animations that you don't even think about, but you're like, damn, those are good facial animations.
Mhm.
That's the people that rigged it, and the people that are the cinematics animators, they're like wizards.
And it's got to be cool from your
So
perspective
good.
to see some of the designs that you come up with or anything like that, and then see it come to life. And
Oh, it's the coolest.
dude,
It's that feeling does not go away.
I have,
Like,
you know, why haven't I asked you more about that? Like when sorry, when you've made a piece and then you actually go and play it in the game.
yeah, it doesn't always line up because sometimes you do a concept and that starts the conversation,
Yeah.
and then by the time everything gets arted up and the design, like the actual gameplay of the level is finished, that has completely changed. You're like
Okay.
painting. So if you look at any of my stuff on ArtStation, you might not be able to find like one to one in the game, but every once in a while it will happen and you'll
Okay.
see that on someone's monitor and you're like, sorry, I don't want to buy that's mine. That looks really cool. Like I worked on that. I'm just super excited.
That's actually Eytan's temple.
But yeah, it's hard to talk more without spoiling stuff. But
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
just say, like, in general, you'll just see a thing that you're like, I can't wait to
That's
play
so
that
cool.
thing. That's fucking cool.
So, as far as the process goes, so you're there, you're coming up with ideas, and then you ship it off to what production artists that go and make the specific elements in the scene. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the video
Yeah,
game
so
industry from my
in
end.
in general, like big studios, there'll be the pipeline will go from The director or the creative director has the idea,
Yeah.
and they'll work with the writers if there's a script, right? And then information gets passed down to the different art needs. So it'll be
Okay.
like the art director. There might be an art director for the whole studio, or there might be an art director per discipline. It's different at each company, but the information will get trickled down to my art director, and he'll come to us and say, um, you know, like for Uncharted 4 or something, the needs are that it's this shipwreck in the distance, and like there's going to be planks leading up to it and waterfalls behind it. We want it to feel kind of like this wonderful watershed moment, like holy
Yeah.
crap, we've found the thing. Like they'll convey in a few sentences what it is, and then it's our job to come up with like blue sky imagery,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
is which is don't look at anything, just think about what you think would make the most awesome shot, and we'll worry about that later. So that's one type of thing you do. And another thing will be they've already started on it, and they'll say, this is what we currently have for this shipwreck waterfall thing. What do you think it should be?
Okay.
Based on what we have, can you make it look better? So
Okay.
that's more of a production concept. So uh, that one, there's a lot more collaboration back and forth.
Okay.
So you'll give them that, and they'll model it, and then you'll revisit that same area, in a few months, or maybe even a few years if the game's like super big. But by the time they
Okay.
get back to it and they art it up, you start doing notes on top of it. So that's
Okay.
like kind of the support concept. So that's like the last stage of the game, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, so it's not like you just come up with a bunch of blue sky images and then you're on to the next game.
Yeah, you're not like, peace, okay, I did what I think is coolest. You're constantly supporting them with art. And
Yeah.
also, our art director is really good about going up to the modelers and the people who are making the assets and saying, what do you guys need a concept for? Because like we have
Yeah.
ideas
Yeah.
about what would be cool, but what's actually going to help you guys out the most? It might be like just going over to the modeler's desk and just talking to him, or you do a little scribble, or you do a whole painting for him. It really depends on like what they feel like they need.
Yeah. That's super cool.
But
I think
it's really cool.
yeah. I think from the position of somebody that's not been involved or even a student trying to get into it, you don't think about it that way. Where it's like, okay, we're trying to make art so that we can figure out what the hell we're gonna build.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
think you've hit on a really important point. This is all for something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you kind of maybe don't realize it when you're doing stuff. Like the goal of concept art is to make a video game.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like when you are there. So it's not about when you send it that they're like, you are a magnificent artiste.
that
This is
brushwork.
this has fundamentally changed the way I think about trash cans. Wow, what a
Yeah.
beautiful painting of a trash can. They're like, hey, can you, like, how do I fix this? Like, just whatever the easiest way for you to tell me how to fix my level is the
Yeah.
thing I'm gonna like. Like,
Okay.
what's
Yeah.
gonna give me the most ideas? What's the most informative thing? So a lot of times for the support stuff, it's really simple stuff where like line drawing on top of it, and you know, uh, maybe sometimes we'll take their model and we'll model on top of it and just give it back to them.
Okay.
And even if it's like super broken or whatever, but like we'll do a little render on our end to be like, oh, this kind of lighting might be cooler. Can you try that? I've done that a few
Yeah.
times.
Okay.
Like I just relight the environment and take a screenshot, and I say like, oh, what about that? Because I don't need to do a painting. We're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
make a
Yeah.
game. We're not trying to make a book of paintings.
Yeah. And
You know what I mean?
dude, that's such a good point because you can get caught up in the mindset of, okay, well, I'm just making really cool paintings as opposed to I'm going to design something really cool. And
And believe me, I want to make cool
yeah.
paintings. Like it's tough not to do that each time, but you do have to like zoom out a little bit sometimes
Yeah.
and say like, what's the quickest, easiest way for me to help you?
Do you ever find yourself in a situation where maybe you've made an amazing painting but a really bad design, and vice versa, where you've made a really bad painting but it's like the best design?
Yeah, I've done that before, but the cool thing is no one needs to see that if it's bad.
Okay.
And I've done a few things where the painting was all right, but I was like, it just needs to be sent already. But
Yeah.
then before I post it, because I'm self-conscious, I go back and I fix it. And I'm like, oh, this
Yeah.
is what was given to the concept
This is
seed,
what it
not that
actually
other
looked like.
one that we're not going to talk about.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I want to know about too, because there's always these art of books and all that stuff. How much of that is just dolled up afterwards?
I think the majority of it is what it is.
Okay.
I would say I'm saying I like touch up paintings that I think are good enough,
Yeah.
but I will do like another pass maybe. Like I'll
Okay.
spend a couple days like going through the ones that I'm going to post, because a lot of these games take years and
Yeah. Yeah.
years. So the first thing you did that you maybe would have been super excited if you could have posted it, like 3 years later, you're like, I don't want to post that anymore. That's
Yeah.
not as good as the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's weird like watching you make this art that no one's ever gonna see, because you're like, it's not good enough to post because it's 4 years old now,
Yeah. That is kind of weird.
and like your personal work is better anyway, so you're like, it's fine. I'll just post a smaller collection of the work I've done, because if we
Yeah.
posted everything we did for like the last 5 years or something, there would be way too much.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like there's concepts for literally everything. Not all of it's interesting. It's like,
Barrels,
yeah, like
boxes.
do you want to see that in the art of book? Like, here's a painting of a barrel.
I'm not gonna lie, but when I first started like getting into concept art, I was really excited by fucking barrels and doors for some reason. Like all those
Okay,
dumb
you know
things.
what? I stand corrected. Maybe you do want to see the barrel concepts.
I was personally very excited by those, but that's my own stupidity. I think I just liked drawing boxes a lot, and then I realized I had a better use for perspective stuff on my YouTube channel. But
I think it is important to know how to do that stuff, but I
yeah,
think I don't want to see that in a portfolio anyway. I
yeah,
assume if you can make an amazing landscape painting, you can paint a barrel.
that's a good point.
So I'm good. I don't care about your call out thing that it's not even
Yeah,
10% as cool as your best piece. Like, don't put it in your portfolio. That's fine.
that's interesting. That's actually advice very distinctly different from what like when I've talked to John Park. He's like, oh, you got to have the whole thing. You know, you got to have all the props. Or
Like I said, this is me.
no,
This is
I know.
like
Yeah, yeah,
from my experience and stuff of people
yeah,
we would want to hire.
yeah.
It's vastly different at every studio.
That's
Like
what I.
I hope no one.
That's
Yeah,
kind of
go
what I'm
ahead.
trying to emphasize, though, is like even though it's everybody lumps the art industry or the entertainment industry as one thing, like the games industry, but it's like it's all individual people. Everyone has their own preferences. Every studio is going to have their own things that they want to do. You know?
Yeah, well, I think if you look at um, Naughty Dog games as a whole, there isn't a lot of made up prop stuff. Maybe
Yeah,
just the
yeah,
Uncharted games have like, mechanisms and stuff that are made up, but most of the time we're taking a real place
yeah,
and we're saying, what if it's a I don't know, 20% more exaggerated version of Indian temples, right?
yeah, yeah,
So the prop design would come into that one specific thing, but for the most part they're like, make a beautiful scenery of a Indian temple lost city. Like,
yeah,
there's not so much nitty gritty like prop design for that.
yeah. It's not something
But
like.
we did a fair amount of props though.
All right, cool. Do you
But
ever find that do you find that yourself working on the same thing a lot of times, and then like, you ever get tired of working on the same thing, or maybe too much of the same type of thing?
definitely, yeah. I think I think that'll happen no matter what.
Okay.
Um, when you work on like each game, I'm super proud of every game I worked on. But at the end of each game, you're like, I am done doing this kind of art for a
Yeah, yeah.
while. Like, I need a break, and that's why I like working on stuff when I get home, because I kind of
Okay.
need the break. After you know I love Last of Us and all that stuff. I just am like, oh, I kind of want to hang out in like a very pretty optimistic world, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna do some fantasy stuff with bright sunny colors and stuff. Um, but that's just you always want to do opposite of what you're doing at work, I find.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But that's, yeah, it's just human condition stuff. You're like, whatever you have, you don't
Yeah.
want that thing.
I have that ADD and a little bit of that conditioning where it's like when I'm involved in the art industry, I'm like, what if I went back to start playing music again? And then when I was in music, I was like, what if I was doing art right now?
See, I think there's a few different types of people, especially in the art world. There's
Yeah.
people that enjoy the process of learning,
Yeah.
and I think you're one of those people where you like kind of branching out and
Yep.
like trying a different thing for a second, and then you'll come back. And then some people are like, I just got to get to the top of that fucking mountain, man.
Yeah,
Just got to go this one line straight up. Like,
I'm annoyed that I'm that type of person. It,
yeah. You
it's
just want to be a well-rounded character, right? Like you want to have points evenly distributed.
I don't want to
I
be.
want I want to be like one
Yeah.
spike.
I like it's super weird because with music I did that where I spent my like fucking 10 years just playing metal guitar, and then
Yeah.
since I've gotten into art, and I don't know if it's just a factor of cell phones, modern technology, whatever, but I'm always finding myself, I'm like, oh, what if I did animation, what if I did painting, what if I did all this stuff, and I still find myself in the position where I'm trying out different things and being a little bit ADD about it.
Sorry, one sec.
That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I will always get I'll get ADD a lot. Like
Okay.
I'll see somebody do something or I'll see a movie and I'm like, "Ooh, that could be kind of cool." And I've had to start writing down all the ideas cuz I'll
Yeah.
forget. But I maybe even won't finish many of them or most of the ideas, but it's cool to like just jot down and like try something different when you get home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I wonder what that program is about. And I think by experimenting, my work gets better
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I'm not I'm not like I don't care what process is used to create the art. All I care about is making the thing that I have in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm different than a lot of artists. I know like there's nothing wrong with being like, oh, I just want to be really good at painting straight up. But I'm like, what is all the things I could do to make the coolest image? I don't
Yeah.
really care if somebody tells me that there's 3D or that they sculpted it all. I get excited when I find out how people do things because I'm like, oh, that's like another tool in this like vast box of tools now because we're using a digital medium.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, let me do all the things and see what I can use. And maybe I'll learn a program and only use it for one thing, like 10% of the program's capabilities.
Yeah.
I'm like, now I know how to do that. That's cool. Like, it'll come in handy. It's cool.
So you weren't one of those people on conceptart.org saying digital art isn't real art, or doing the digital versus traditional.
Yeah, the debate's over.
Yeah.
That there's no verses. It's, does anyone work traditionally in the game
No, not in the game.
field? No, so there's no debate.
Yeah.
It's
I
and it's not about which one is better. No one's arguing that. We're just saying for the again, we're working on games. We're trying to
yeah.
make a product. So what tool is the best? Obviously Photoshop, not pencil. Like what do you mean?
I can only imagine, like, because I still love to traditional sketch all the time, but I could only imagine if I worked in a video game industry, it'd be a fucking catastrophe.
No, I don't think for your type of art that it would be. I think I'm just saying for our studio, like we're not doing a ton of
Yeah, yeah.
design stuff and line work, but there are games where they use, people that traditionally draw. It's just for realistic games, I don't think so,
It's not. It
you
doesn't
know.
seem like a good use of time either.
And I think too back to what I was saying about it being part of a product, by you working digitally, people can take the assets you create.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you're literate in what they're doing. When you know 3D and they say, "Oh, we need to like bump the subsurface," and you know what that means,
yeah.
you can actually contribute to the conversation instead of being like, "Ah, yes, I like pencils. That's all I know." I don't know what you just said. But when you
Yeah,
experiment more, like I think some of the best like 3D people in the world work at Naughty Dog. So when
yeah,
I have a problem, I can go ask them and I can, explain what the situation is. They can come over and work on my thing. I'm able to use the whole company as an asset for my knowledge. If I decided that I was never going to work digitally, I couldn't ask anyone's opinion on anything.
No.
You know what I mean?
I also,
Like
anytime
I
somebody ever comes at me with that, the digital versus traditional, I was like, well, think about the timeline of making a game. And I was like, now try to oil paint all of those environments.
yeah, it's just, it's not to say like there isn't a versus at all. There
Yeah.
isn't like drawing is not good and digital is good. I'm saying for the job we're doing, obviously you need to know how to draw. No one's saying don't learn how to draw. I'm saying the tool that you're going to use is not a pencil.
Yeah.
But the way you get good is the way everyone else gets good. You draw and you paint and you start, you learn like from when you were a kid. You draw and
Yeah.
you'll get better. It's all the same, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's like
I agree with that.
one helps the other. It's stop being so snooty about your programs.
I'm being snooty about my programs and my brush
So
sets.
snooty.
You're not even allowed to have my brush set because you know what? You just think that you're gonna have my magic brush set and you're gonna finally become a good artist, Eytan. That's what you
You know
think.
what? That's the hilarious thing. Does anyone actually think by giving away their brushes they're gonna accidentally get amazing overnight and be like, "Fuck! I wish I didn't give them my
But yeah,
brushes."
maybe they're worried. They're like, that guy's gonna stick my job.
Like it's so made up. Nobody asking thinks that.
Just give him a brush set.
Just give them. We've said this too many
Yeah,
times. Sorry, it's a sore spot for me.
that's all right. Or you can not just give them the brush set, put it on Gumroad for like $2, and then you get some money in as a being a little bit of a bastard.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell other people's brushes. You're right.
I think that's
This
a.
is Shaddy's set, but it's from my personal collection.
I think he would be upset by that.
Yeah,
Oh man.
but yeah, it's. I guess I'm harping on it so much because there were a lot of gatekeepers.
Yeah.
As I grew in my art career, there were a lot of people that gave out really bad information, and I think in a way to keep people down. And
Okay.
it was, I didn't realize it at the time, but going forward and looking back, I was like, why would you say that to
Yeah.
someone asking you a question? Like, I would never say that as a response. Like, they would be very dismissive or they'd put you down or something. And you're like, oh, yeah, whatever you say, you're the teacher. And you realize, like, this guy's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
Like, he just wants to be the master forever.
Yeah.
And he's like scared now because he didn't, evolve and he didn't keep up to date. So he's just taking little jabs at everyone. You're like, oh, he's just really tough on everyone. Like,
No,
no,
he's
he's
just.
afraid.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Well,
Like, we had a few teachers like that where you're like, this person's afraid.
that's strange. Well,
Yeah.
on a more positive note, because I don't want to end off on a negative note.
We're
Um,
ending.
I don't know if we're ending just yet. We might end in like I'm gearing us up for the next like 20 minutes to end because I do have a work thing to do after. Unfortunately,
How dare you put work ahead of me?
I'm sorry, baby. I can't help it.
This is a pattern,
I know. We're not ending just yet. But I want to gear us up toward ramping us towards the. I'm giving you the whole structure right now. I'm giving my cards. But what do you see happening with your art career in the next? Well, I think actually you told me last time, but I don't know. Where do you see yourself going anyway?
Uh, I don't remember what I said last time because I kind of, I'm in a weird place right now because I like what I'm doing and
That yeah.
I am learning a lot like every day and I'm really enjoying that and I feel like I'm a little bit like back in school,
Yeah.
which is cool. So I'm able to really like collaborate and ask help from my peers a lot. And just this project alone, I feel like I've learned so much and I just want to keep like get that feeling as much as I can for as long as I can. So for me, it's just like just keep going with that and do some more personal work,
Release more books of
release more
personal work.
books.
Yeah.
It would be cool to make a book one day, but
Yeah.
I got to make work first.
Yeah. I think that was the same answer that you gave last time, and that's why I realized after I asked it, I was like, oh, he likes what he's doing. I was like, he's happy where he is. That I knew what
Why
the answer
don't you
was.
want to quit?
How come you don't want to quit and change your life path? I don't understand.
I mean, I think like I've been at Naughty Dog forever,
Yeah,
like almost 9 years now.
yeah,
Um, so it's really hard for me to look at another studio and
yeah,
like to give up what has taken 9 years to
yeah.
come to.
I think I
At
even
this
meant
point, I'm like,
artistically
why would
though.
I leave right now? It's
Yeah,
just it's the best it's ever been for me.
yeah. No, I don't mean even like a career switch. I think I just more so meant like how are you going to take your art further? But here's a better question: when are we going to travel? When are we going to go across the world?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I want to go to that
I
Cambodian cave or whatever you were talking about.
Oh yeah, the cave in Vietnam. Did we talked about this last time, right?
We did, but it's. Can you just, for anybody that didn't hear it, can you talk a little bit? Your episode actually, there was some technical difficulties with the audio and everything.
Okay.
So, why don't you can tell us about the cave a little bit because that is so fucking cool.
Okay, so I'll start by saying this is the greatest thing I've ever done, and it's the greatest thing on the planet. It put everything into perspective after seeing this thing. Like I now have a 10 on my scale of awesomeness, and everything got less cool after seeing this thing.
Maybe I don't want to go.
No, it is the greatest
Oh,
thing
okay, okay.
you'll ever see. It's mind blowing. I think we went in 2016 or 2017, and we went in Vietnam. There's this cave called Son Doong or Han Son Doong, and it's the biggest cave on the planet. And it was very recently found, and they will take you for 5 days to see it. It takes 5 days. It's so big,
Shit.
and you go in with 10 people at a time, and for 5 days you are in this cathedral of a cave, and it's bigger than anything you can
God
conceive. And you
damn.
take a picture of it, and a scale doesn't make sense. It's If you go on my Instagram, I have some of the pictures saved in my highlights.
I almost don't want to see it though. I want to see it in
Okay.
person first. I'm not even gonna look it
The,
up.
the way we saw it was there was drone footage of it,
Okay.
and what makes it so cool is that it's not a creepy dank cave. It's so big that there's atmosphere, and there's holes in the ceiling with lights pouring through, like sunlight pouring
Yeah.
through, and plants growing down, and like drips of water. But it's so big that there's like a forest inside the cave
That's so,
because it
so
collapsed a
crazy.
million years ago, and
Yeah.
all the rainwater like collected, and there's just one part where you walk through a forest, but you're still inside of a cave.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And it's it is actually mind blowing.
It
Like you
sounds
will
like a
sit
David
there.
Attenborough documentary.
It's exactly that. It's one of the most extreme things on the planet, and I think it's the coolest thing I'll ever see.
My god.
It's hard to top that one for me.
So here's what we need to do. So not only are we going to do this, we're going to bring some podcast equipment with us. We're going to do a podcast from the cave, and we're going to invite David Attenborough and Werner Herzog.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool.
If we could somehow, I'm going to need your help on this because I don't know them, but we need to get David Attenborough and Werner Herzog here.
Um, yeah, make it happen, dude.
I think I'll make it happen.
I'll wait, but you go for it.
I'll reach out to them. I'll have my guys talk to their people. You know.
Yeah, it's I think we definitely got to travel. It'd be
Yeah.
a lot of fun, and I think that's like that. It all kind of feeds the creativity for me.
Yeah.
Because you'll see, especially something like that. I'll never see anything like that in my life. Like that is nuts. But now I know if I was gonna paint a fantasy cave, I'm the fucking expert now
Yeah.
because I lived inside of it for
Yeah.
5 days. Like I know
Oh my
exactly
god.
what it'll look like, and you see all these different lighting conditions and colors that you would never expect if you were just to make it up from your head.
Yep.
And like the fact that there was atmosphere, like a layer of fog on the top of the cave because it's hot outside and it's cold inside.
Yeah,
So
that's
there's
crazy.
river water creating steam that's rising and sticking to the top of the cave. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's that big.
That's
There's a
not real.
cloud. Like there's a cloud above us.
It's a cave cloud. That's not
Yeah,
real.
a
That
cave cloud. And yeah, the colors, the sense of scale you get, it's dizzying. You look straight up and you still can't see the top of it sometimes. It's
God damn.
nuts. It's so big.
Oh my
And
god.
it's pleasant. It's like 5 days of leisurely walking through and enjoying it. You're not worried about doing super strenuous climbing. There's a little
Yeah.
bit where you're like maybe 3 or 4 times where you're like roped in
Yeah.
and you rappel down, but they have expert climbers and a doctor with you the whole time.
Okay.
Like
It's not
it's
going to be
really
like
like
it's
yeah, it's all taken care of.
okay. It won't be like 12 days or whatever where one of us
No, no.
loses a leg.
You can only go. What's cool is you can only go with this company.
Okay.
So it's not open to anybody else, so it's never ruined because they're really strict about like don't fuck with the cave, don't like break anything, just stay on this path so we can like keep it wonderful.
Okay.
So you're only walking on this pretty thin trail, but you can go as quick or as slow as you want
That's great.
because it's for you to enjoy it. They're not rushing you to the end or anything.
Damn. Yeah, that sounds like so much fun. I want to do more of that type of stuff, and I've been rock climbing, actual bouldering. I guess rock climbing is different than bouldering. I think rock climbing is when you have the rappel and all the gear on.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be like free solo, where you just go without any gear on. And you just climb boulders and try to get better at that.
That's what my brother does.
Oh yeah,
My brother's a rock climber currently.
like for a living, or he does that as for fun.
For fun. So
Oh
he's
okay.
like you in that he loves learning a new thing and starting
Yeah.
from scratch.
Yeah.
So he's done um he was an acrobat for a little bit. He got super into oil painting for a
Yep.
spell. He
Shit.
got yeah, like he did dance for a while. Now he's really into rock climbing. He loves being creative and active
Yeah.
at the same time.
Oh, it's so
So
cool.
he's always like posting stuff on Instagram where he's like, "Oh, I was just in Yosemite for 5 days doing nothing but rock climbing." I'm like,
Oh
what the
man,
fuck?
we
Oh
gotta
my
have your
god.
brother on the podcast.
Yeah.
Tell him.
If you want, he looks exactly like me too.
That's fine. I'll advertise it as you unless he's got a bigger social media following. I'll just say Eytan's coming back, and then it just won't. I don't even know your
It'll be
brother's name,
him.
but
His name's Michael. I think he
but
has a mustache though. You might notice.
we'll just pretend it's you in with a costume on. Shit.
Yeah, awesome, man. But yeah, it is. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have just one brother.
One brother. Okay. And is the age gap big, or did you
He
guys hang out a lot?
he's 5 years older than me, but we always hung out
Okay.
throughout the years.
That was the same for my brothers. We were all 5 years apart.
Okay.
So we were all kind of like buddy buddy with different brothers at different times,
Oh,
but
okay. Okay.
it was like me and my little brother were always the ones like going in the backyard and playing and stuff because the age range was like enough. But for my older brother, it was like lame for him to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
But like
are you the youngest or the middle?
I'm like second out of four boys.
Oh shit. So it's four. It's not three.
I mean, second to the last. I'm third. What am I talking
Okay.
about?
That's cool. Whatever. I'm not doing math. It's fine.
Numbers? I'm the third. Why did I say the second?
You're second from last.
I'm second from the last, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I knew
me
what
and
you
him
meant.
would always you know, go outside and do the creative stuff, and then my older brother, he was always feeding me pop culture stuff. So
Okay.
he was like, these are like my comics. I'm done with them. That kind of thing. And then I
Yeah.
got super into comics and stuff. And then my oldest brother was always like, you when you're not old enough, but you should watch Aliens because it's badass, dude. And I'm like,
Oh
okay,
shit.
cool. When I get old enough, I'll watch that.
Thanks for telling me.
Yeah, so it was like this trickle down from all my brothers, kind of
A little Reaganomics.
everybody kind of like doing creative stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So your youngest brother is the one that does oil painting and rock climbing, or is he the middle the?
He's the youngest.
Okay.
So and then my one older brother is a filmmaker, and then my oldest is a programmer for Dropbox.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You guys are a successful bunch. That's cool.
I think it was maybe kind of drilled into us as kids. Like,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
you can do whatever, but like be good about it. Like
I think your parents
try
may
and be
have.
good at it.
Yeah, I think your parents may have been similar in that regard to mine, where it was like You can do whatever you want, but you better work your ass off to do that.
Yeah. It was about because my dad did a lot of like blue collar jobs, so he
Yeah.
was never gonna like look down on us doing whatever.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yeah, can you like when I said I wanted to do art, he was like, I don't know, like, is can you make me a case for it?
Yeah.
You know, like he at least heard me out, and I was like, there is a career you don't know about video games, but they're really big, and like people do this, and he was like, okay, like it seems like it's a real thing that you're saying. I don't want you to do something and then you're like still living at home. That
Yeah.
would suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I did live at home actually when I got my job, so
Oh
not
shit.
to knock that at all. I for
It's all
sure
right.
recommend living at home
Yeah.
if you can.
I had to move
Saves
back.
so much money.
Yeah, I had to move back when I left school to do this. So I ended up doing some blue collar work because again my parents come from they ran a construction company. So
Yeah,
in between school and getting this channel up, I was doing construction, and that was a nightmare.
that's
But
crazy.
yeah,
Whoa. Yeah,
dude,
my dad did all sorts of like building stuff, and he was like a handyman. He
yeah.
did like drapes, he did blinds, he did all sorts of like interior
Did he ever make you do
handyman
any of
stuff.
that?
Yeah, I did lots of blinds and drape stuff. Whenever I would stay home, he'd be
Yeah.
like, "No, you're coming to work with me. You're not just getting the whole day to play video games. You're
Yep.
gonna make some money." I'm like,
Now,
"Okay."
wait. When you said you got your job, or when you ended up moving back, you moved back after college, or was it?
I went to college in LA, so I
Yeah.
lived at home
Okay.
and I
Okay.
commuted to Otis, which was like maybe 45 minutes an hour away.
Yeah.
And I got the job for a couple of years before I decided to move out, just because I had $0 in my bank
Yeah.
account.
Yeah.
So I was like, this doesn't make sense for me to just move to Santa Monica just because I got this job. So it was like a
Gotcha.
couple years of saving up, and it was awesome, man. Like getting you realize like free food and free laundry. You're like,
Yeah.
parents are pretty nice.
Yeah. They certainly are. Yeah.
Dang.
That's one of the things that I think about because sometimes people will give me a hard time for selling premium products, like in my comments and stuff. If I put an ad up, they're like, "Oh, you just care about the money." And it's like, no, I just have to pay for a lot of shit. I don't have
Yeah,
like,
but you should care about the money because there's value to what you do.
well, that's also true, but I mean, you
I
also
mean,
gotta you gotta make a living too, though.
yeah, you you like you absolutely should make a living. Why are we telling people not to make a living?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Don't
know.
do this don't do this for a profession.
It,
Only do it for fun.
it's probably just teenagers on the internet or something. I don't really know, but
That's so weird.
I don't
I don't understand. Like I've heard that a few times, and I just don't understand who's saying these kinds of things.
know. People that aren't making money doing it.
Yeah, are you just mad?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Probably.
But they, I think it's kind of BS because you deserve to make money because you're educating people and you're giving out like precious gold nuggets of knowledge for nothing. You should get some kickback on that. Like
I think so.
that's a great thing that you're doing, and I think you're being really honest and upfront with people, and you're getting really great guests, and you're teaching a lot. Why
Thanks,
not
man.
make some
Yeah,
cash?
I do try to be honest and upfront about everything. I mean, I definitely don't lie about where the income comes from or making money. But yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know why there's maybe it's just on like younger artists or people that are
Yeah. You
yeah
do talk about horses too much, so I get that
too
criticism.
much horse anatomy.
Too much horse talk, personally.
I'm sorry. I just love riding horses. I love talking about horses. I love Red Dead Redemption. There's so many horses in that.
You do love horses.
Yeah, I just love them, man.
Um, I don't know if we have more time. Do we have more
We got a
time?
little bit of time. What's up?
Okay. Because I don't know if you played the Resident Evil remaster.
Of Resident Evil 2?
Yeah,
I did not play it.
it's really, really cool. Like I
Fuck.
was really enjoying that
Yeah.
because that's a game that came out when I was first
Yeah.
discovering video games, and to
Yeah.
see it made again with like modern day features, they did such a good job on it.
I need to
It's
get
so
that.
scary. It's
I
so fucking scary.
honestly, Resident Evil 2 when it first came out was just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
such an amazing, so scary. I think part of what was scary about it too was how horrible the controls were. But
Yes, it was really poorly optimized for the controls, and
did
I
they
think
change that?
yeah, they did. They made it nice. You're still like slow, so it's scary because you
Okay.
don't move quick, and the zombies are slow because back in the day zombies used to be slow.
Yeah,
Before running zombies became a thing.
they're not. Running zombies aren't real
I
zombies.
don't like running zombies. I like
No,
slow zombies.
but
But
they handicapped you so much in Resident Evil 2 though, in the original one, because you have to walk forward, and if you want to turn, you have to stop and then change directions.
yeah, it's like a tank. It's awful. Uh,
But sorry,
uh,
go on about the new one.
the new one is much better, I think, in terms of the controls, but it
Okay.
looks so beautiful. Like they did such a good job of translating, the old game and making
Yeah.
it beautiful. Like I think just for the visuals alone, like it's so nice to look at, and the gore and stuff is
Yeah.
like disgusting, and it's really there hasn't been a game like that for me in a long time where I was like hooked.
All right. I've
It's
been
such a
looking for
good
a new
game.
game, so
But maybe I'm just weird, but I played it, I beat it twice, like immediately.
dude, no, I
Yeah.
honestly that game when it first, like I said, when it first came out, it was so ridiculous. It was just so fucking scary to play that game. Like the original
Yeah.
Resident Evils, I had never seen graphics like that. I'd never seen gore like that on a video game before.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's it really shows you like the power of the medium, I think, because
yeah,
it's visceral playing a game and being scared.
yeah,
Because you have control, so it doesn't it's not that hard, or like it's hard for me to imagine being scared when I'm like I can just whatever, run away or something. But the way that you're slow and the
yeah,
handicaps they give you make it scary. They like
yeah.
take away your power, and it's fucking awesome.
It's also not even real. So like, it's amazing that they can get you to suspend your disbelief so much that
Exactly.
you're shaking.
Because visually you're like, this is the creepiest space I've ever
Yeah.
seen. I walk really slow and I really hope nothing busts through that window. But you see the windows open and
Oh
there's
my
rain
god.
pouring in and the lighting's all scary and you're like, I don't want to go. I don't want to
Dude,
go.
have you played
But you have to.
have you played Silent Hill 2?
I never played the Silent Hill ones
No.
because I got
No.
too scared. I couldn't do it.
I was just about to say those. I love Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2. I have more to say about that. I just don't want to go on about it, but it is Silent Hill 2 is so terrifying. I have never been I've never been so mortified, afraid to go anywhere. Sometimes you'll actually just sit in that game and just not walk anywhere because you're like, well, I don't want to go anywhere because it's dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what like the save room in Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Like, let's just hang out a couple more minutes. My adrenaline needs to come down.
Oh my god. In Silent Hill 2, when Pyramid Head would show up, oh, it's just. I think Silent Hill for me was a little bit scarier because the weapons just don't work pretty much, and for
Oh,
a larger portion of the game,
okay.
you just don't have weapons,
Okay.
and there's a little bit.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's made by the same people, but I think it might actually be.
I scare easily,
Okay.
so maybe Resident Evil isn't scary, but
No, it
I
is.
okay, like I don't remember what this game was called, but I played something where you just have a lantern
Yeah.
and I was like hiding in a room and the monster like walked by and made this weird sound and I quit and I uninstalled the game.
Oh my
I was
god.
like, no, 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 I'm
No,
not
no.
doing that. That's too
Oh,
scary.
there's another really terrifying game from back in the day. Have you ever heard of Galarians?
No,
All
what's
right,
that?
it was some JRPG, not JRPG, but just a like this Japanese version of. It kind of was like a combination of Silent Hill and Resident Evil. It played very similar to both those games, uh, but you were this hospital patient, this young kid, and you had these uncontrollable. What is it? You had not like you can control things with your mind, but
Whoa.
the character himself wasn't in control of the ability, so he would just walk into rooms and accidentally blow up somebody's head. And
Whoa.
for PlayStation 1, this was mind blowing for me to see, literally mind blowing, because he was destroying brains.
Literally destroying their
Yeah.
minds.
But there's this one. They would have all these really creepy graphics, and there was this or creepy cinematics and stuff. Kind of there was this one moment where you discovered his parents, but their corpses were lying down, and they had a pocket watch shoved into their mouth, and which sounds
Ugh,
yeah, it was crazy. It turns out he just imagined it, which was even weirder for me. But
Jesus.
it like zoomed in and got all really good graphics for a moment. It kind of reminded me like when they zoom in Ren and Stimpy, or when they zoom in
Oh, right.
SpongeBob, where it's like,
It's like a
wait,
super detailed painting.
yeah, it's crazy. I unfortunately have to go now. I know that's.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
so sorry for that to be so abrupt.
You gotta go.
I do
Okay.
have to go. I'm really sorry. Can we do this again
We
though?
we we could have gone 4 more hours
I know.
probably.
We'll do this again in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Sounds good, man.
All right, my friend. Thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey.
Thanks to anyone who's made it through this far listening to us ramble.
I have no idea because I haven't been looking at the chat.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Eytan. I really
All
appreciate it.
right. Take it easy, man.
Take it easy, dude.